Hey, what's up? How you doing? What's good? What's good? What's good? Welcome to In Honor of Our Roots. Aw, cute. I'm glad you're here too. Just waiting for more people to log on. I feel like we haven't done a live in a minute, so it's a little slow. Hey, Molly. How are y'all today? I'm like, it's rainy over here. The sun is like finally coming out, which is ironic because it's hella late. You know, the sun is already gonna come down, but hello, Josiah. Yes, welcome, y'all. Thank you guys for tuning in. I am Morena. I think a lot of y'all know me. We're gonna be hosting an interview to an amazing artist today by the name of Anu, on the topic of spiritual autonomy. So cute. I will start talking. So welcome to In Honor of Our Roots, y'all. For those of y'all that have never participated in Honor of Our Roots before, or those of y'all that have been a part of In Honor of Our Roots and maybe haven't seen us in this stage, In Honor of Our Roots is a grassroots event series that provides a brave space for creators of color to delve into, share, and document their coming to be / roots. We use workshops, exhibitions, experimental performances to encourage the spiritual autonomy of our communities, and activate a queer imagination for those that participate, right? As well as encourage the potential for collective ancestry, which is the idea that when you enter the room and I enter the room, we enter the room with our ancestors. And so it's important to reckon and understand for the people that come after us what the meeting of our lineages means, especially when we're sharing such sacred things through art, right? And I am Morena Espiritual, a performance artist, one of the organizers of In Honor of Our Roots. I'm a teaching artist as well. I facilitate workshops around movement and healing. I'm also a motherfucking survivor. Okay. Yeah, I've been inspired to name that more often, especially with everything that's been happening. And yeah, welcome to the live on spiritual autonomy. And so before I invite Anu to share this live with me, I just want to sort of give a little rundown of what spiritual autonomy is, because spiritual autonomy is one of the values of In Honor of Our Roots. So spiritual autonomy we define as the dynamic composition of spiritual practices that are not bound by a specific set of rules, meaning that it's valid to explore ancestral traditions as well as have a more organic relationship to spirituality. Spiritual autonomy is acknowledging God as fluid and a multiplicitous entity and a process. It is the recognition of God as change, as Octavia Butler says. And so this is really important to In Honor of Our Roots, because as we engage with many different queer and trans creators, we do not want to make people feel like when they explore themselves, there is a right or wrong to their spirituality. And today, we're going to be talking to Anu, who we believe exemplifies the ways in which you can bring spiritual autonomy to life through spiritual practices. So when you're feeling ready anew, if you would just like to request the live, I can hop you in here. I'm going to pin Anu's Venmo and Cash App information onto this live while they request, so that y'all can feel free to send them some monies and support some living queer artists. Let me just pin this real quick. Hey, welcome.
I just want to say first, thank you for all your words because there was one part that really like struck me. I actually really low key. Also, sorry again, some tears. It's a Pisces moon. It's really emotional today, but there was one part where you said where spiritual autonomy is like coming into the room and acknowledging that like all of your ancestors are like there with you. And I don't know, I just really felt that, especially, I feel for the people that may not have the documented, history of their ancestors, that may have to really go through the, bodily remembrance. I really feel that that was really keen because, a lot of people really do have to go to that feeling of their ancestors before they can kind of like get to the names and get to like, the identification.
Right. That's so important and makes me think of one of my favorite books that I'm like obsessed with. I always talk about, called Black Quantum Futurism, that talks about essentially decolonizing time, and how a really big part of decolonizing time is like acknowledging that now is a starting point, and that like you are the culmination of everything that has happened, you feel me? So you don't need to necessarily be able to trace back like my ancestors came from XYZ space, but it's like knowing that just by you being here, all your ancestors are being here because you're here. um that was so beautiful. I'm glad that it really resonates. I'm realizing that I forgot to say that my pronouns are they, them. So just want to make that clear in case y'all want to make any references to me, that those are my pronouns. And I wanted to just do a little brief introduction of you, Anu. You can feel free to, after I give this summary, to, restate your name, your pronouns, and anything that you think is important to be known about you. But I just wanted to introduce you based on this that you shared. So Anu is someone that moves with their craft as a way of life and seeks to explore the truth that has been lost, forgotten, or altered over time. They are a queer, non binary, Black, Native, Louisiana Creole being with chronic disorders. Their work is deeply inspired by their own experiences of remembrance and their lifelong calling to the shamanic practice of healing. They are a multidimensional artist, a singer, a writer, a producer, a model, a visual artist, a holistic practitioner, a sidereal astrologer devoted to honoring their identity with everything that they do. And through their work, Anu honors the representation that is needed for their community of Black and Brown, Indigenous, trans, and queer folks, especially when it comes to understanding these experiences within metaphysics, holistic healing slash medicine, and spirituality. So I'm just gonna give like a little, because that's a beautiful ass bio. Thank you for being here. Um, so yeah, if you would just like to, maybe give us a little summary in your own words of what you feel like is most important to know about you, and reiterate your pronouns so that folks know. And I will remind everyone that Anu's Cash App and Venmo is pinned to this live. So if anything moves you, please send that money their way. We accept white guilt reparations money. We also accept love. So in the form of money, so send that.
I feel the only thing I want to add is that I appreciate people that feel but also listen with their feeling. But yeah.
I love that. Oh my gosh, that's so touching. Um, that's mad beautiful. I've always said that I feel like I get information through feelings.
Mm.
So that's like the tea. Um, yeah, so thank you for that. I'm going to then transition us to the first part of this interview where I believe Anu is going to share like a song with us all so we can get a little taste of one of their artistic practices.
Okay. So before I begin, I just want everyone to really feel in their body the tools that have been passed down to them and to really meditate on that sensation. And, you know, for some, that could be their words. For others, that could be literally their hands and making things. And for others, that could be literally creating ideas in order to, like, you know, activate change and passing on those ideas. Look me in my eyes, tell me what you spy. Lay down all your lies, relay what you mind. Open up, don't hide. Open up, don't hide. Open up. Give me a minute to get a bit acquainted with the equipment I came with. Sword in my right hand, wand in my left. Locked with the ethers, my soul is the speaker. Hearing is an added feature, and every time I put it together, it's stringless stitch, seamless pitch. Drop the hits, then catch my drip. Slime slip down from my nails as I whip through crystal trails. Crystal bars drop on my tongue, and before I know I am undone, the magic has already spun. Spinning with magnum drums, I feel the beat before it comes. Then I flow through the stream like it's a memory, yet only remembers me. My first time is their history, and my last of their dynasty. I am the guide and the one to see. Follow the figure me, feeling the frequencies. The figure eight cycles and threes. Come around and find the breeze. Come around and find the peace. Come around and we break off a piece. Cause we got the means, it seems. We got the keys, it seems. We got the keys, it seems. Look me in my eyes, tell me what you spy. Lay down all your lies, relay what you mind. Open up, don't hide. Open up, don't hide. Open up, don't hide. Look me in my eyes, tell me what you spy. Lay down all your lies, relay what you mind. Open up, don't hide. Open up, don't hide. Open up, don't hide. Thank you. Ooh. Ooh. Thank you.
Okay, update. I'm like, I, at this point in my life, I have evolved to the ultimate gay, meaning that I just scream. I don't laugh. I don't. So when you hear me just screech, just know it's a good reaction. Um,
Reach to the ethers. Up to
wow. Thank you so much. Open up, don't hide. Look me in my eyes. Stop running from yourself. Oh my gosh. Let's see. I have so many Scorpio placements, so I fucking felt that. All right.
Okay, I'm a Sidereal Scorpio sun, and Mercury, so you already know. I was really going to go into it today and say autonomy is life, survival is life. I was going to ask you when you said you're a survivor. I'm just like, what is this Scorpio energy, this Scorpio trigger word? Every Scorpio is survivor or something. So,
Yeah, that's the truth though. That's so true. When I said that, I thought I was like, I'm a survivor of multiple things. I'm a survivor of sexual harm, like emotional abuse. I'm a freaking Black person survivor. I'm an indigenous person. My people survived genocides. Like, I'm a survivor of many things. The list goes on. Um, that being said, though, I'm gonna transition into these questions. Um, oh, someone said as a Scorpio moon, truth. Yep, I'm a Scorpio moon. I feel you. I feel you. Um, yeah, I'm gonna transition into these questions so you can
probably
bless us.
Scorpio moon or sidereally a Scorpio moon.
Oh, I don't know the answer to that. I need to do
We can
more
talk about
research.
that later. We can talk about that later.
I'm down. Um, words. So, how are your creative practices a reflection and expansion of your ancestral traditions?
I kind of went into this slightly earlier, but as someone who an intense part of my personal remembrance has been, me, not only feeling in my body certain truths that my family either forgot or kind of like assimilated away from, especially being someone of being a part of the erasure of like Native people to the Americas, a part of, the kind of taking away from their tribal kind of like connection, especially like there was like years ago I was going through like a research and I have found like this documentation showing, my family's last name being one of the last names that were changed from native tribes in order to assimilate them into, everything that was happening in like that time period. And I feel in my practice, a lot of it is continuing to like remember that and to trust my bodily triggers, especially like, that like piece that like I sung, like that song's about almost 2 years old now, I think. And that's like only one piece, but a lot of like my craft or even the services that I offer are very intensely about their remembrance, because I feel everyone's body, as we already said, like your features, your cheekbones, your jawline, your nose shape, your eye shape, your eyebrow shape, your even like the way your curl pattern, because people can have a really tight curl pattern or loose curl pattern but have the same type of curl pattern because of like that familiar connection, no matter if it's looser or tighter, they'll have that similarity. And I feel, in different ways, a lot of us have always felt where we have come from and our intricate, timelines that we have cycled from. And like, I hope that, through even my art or even the school can just, be triggered to that as well, but to also like a faith in a sense of someone who like, I didn't wake up and be told everything that I am. Like even the Louisiana Creole part of me is the most like documented because of my family's closeness to that. It only being 2 generations back of being born and raised in the French Quarters, but I didn't even out until 12. Cause Scorpio, if secrets, family secrets for some reason they love family secrets, and you know, and that's something that I've always been attracted to even before, like finding out where I found out the first time I was visiting New Orleans from my other side of my family that this is something that is a part of me. And I remember saying that this was the only place I visited that felt like home outside of the place that I'm like, technically born and raised in this current timeline. So I feel, in my crafts, it's just that, that drive towards remembrance, that continuing to not, what's the word, discouraged because of not always having all the physical you want at the time you want, especially if you are someone, still searching for those answers, for those, sometimes searching for the question, because I feel like some people don't even know what questions to ask first with families, especially some of us come from families that don't want to know, that are too traumatized from their own, blood, from their own experience of the past, want to know because they have to get past that trauma. Um, but yeah, but that's kind of a long answer.
No, it was a perfect answer. I relate to that so much because, um, I come from, I'm Dominican, right? I'm Dominican because what does that mean? See, but I am Black and I am Taino, which are the indigenous peoples of the Caribbean. And for a long time, I only claimed that I was Black. What?
Mm. Oh, I was saying also South America, and I was like, my family.
Yeah. So for a long time, I only claimed that I was Black, and I mean that's like a lot of complicated history. The Tainos were declared dead nationally and politically, so it's really difficult for you to see yourself as something that is declared non-existent. Um, but I really relate to what you were saying too, because I literally physically look like a Black person mixed with a Taino person. And people in my life have always said this to me in different ways, have like given me gifts that have been like Morena, the Afro Taino, before I even identified that way. So, um, yeah, it's like I've carried it with me even before I knew how to articulate it. And then at some point, my ancestors came into my dreams telling me to claim them, which is interesting because I still don't even know exactly how far back they come from, but I know that it's my responsibility to claim them and to work with them because they stepped to me in my dreams and they told me
Yeah.
to claim them and I look like them. So even if there might be other people in my family that don't look as much as them, I know that I'm destined to work with that side of my family because they stepped to me and I literally look like them. um
Yeah, that look like them. That is also something, has helped me, especially, to go deeper into that my native ancestry. That's something always felt my entire life and just always kind of, I don't know why I feel, this calling, and I mean calling like at I'm like 7 years old, like feeling this and just being, but I'm getting told something else. So maybe no, she ate this into then, finding the documentation and like literally spending like, I kid you not, like 16 plus years knowing this, being told this in different ways. Literally, I grew up like all of my best friends were either native, documented native ancestry, or they were from the Caribbean, always. And and something that you relate to, that you've probably always been around, like the people that is also like your relative family, even if they're not like, and even you saying like looking like the pictures, like something that I've been, remembering, that blackness is like indigenous to the entire earth, like that, like there's blackness everywhere and has always been blackness everywhere. And even you saying like it's Dominican, like what does that mean? Like it is a title, that has been created on this land base, that has the original title has not been the title, and the land base has constantly changed. I feel like the best way that you really can feel your ancestors is, like you said, like that message, because you'll always get it when it's time for you to accept it. It's time for you to acknowledge it, because something that I've been very curious about when it comes to remembering my ancestry, because I've been seeing it a lot of people that may not know anything, but just know, obviously, from their features, they are either of blackness, of indigenousness, and I feel sometimes people can borderline disrespect because they want to integrate, but they don't exactly know. And I feel it's just a perfect example of, you've always been told, like, when it's time for you to honor what is you and what you've always known as you.
Word. Thank you for saying that. That's like really reassuring, especially because yeah, I mean, it's just very common that people say that Tainos don't exist anymore. So sometimes it is kind of difficult for me to feel secure in these messages, even though they have been super duper clear. um, but I'm trying to respect my ancestors. Like, I couldn't have gotten a clearer message. I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge this message that someone wrote to you. I'm Y'all gotta excuse my pronunciation. I'm like multilingual, so sometimes I don't pronounce right. But the username is like Bu Jones, I believe, and they said, Anu, you have been such a cornerstone of embracing my transness. So hearing you say open up, don't hide brought me to tears instantly. Thank you, thank you. My heart needed this. So I just wanted to, bring that message into the air, let you sit with it a little bit. Um, I'm not sure if you wanted to respond to it.
I know it is. Thank you. I'll respond more to that. They feel me internally crying. Oh, I just want to say, everyone here, I appreciate all of you because I've been seeing some of the responses. But like, thank you, and thank you for stopping to read that.
Of course. So the next question that I have is, what does spiritual autonomy mean to you, and how do your intersecting identities play a role in this idea of spiritual autonomy, particularly your queerness?
It is
Okay, it's better now.
everything. Is it better now? Am I freezing again?
You're freezing a little bit, but maybe I'm not sure if you're moving back and forth, but maybe if you try like being still a
Yes,
little bit, it'll.
I'm in a den. I'm underground, so it's probably why I'm happy that it's going this far. But no, I gotta stay still.
Yeah, I mean, we can hear you. It just like keeps on um going back to loading. I think we can see you now.
But for spiritual autonomy and like my queerness, because something that I've really been honoring when it comes to my personal practice is that identity is important, especially I feel in, and honestly it's more so in like the cis ed spiritual community more than it is anything else, but like just kind of seeing the kind of detachment from identity and the kind of intensity no identity sometimes people will be getting into, and I feel can't go anywhere without an identity because, for example, if you have an entity, whether it's a guide, an ancestor, or something else, because not every guide is an ancestor, not every entity has to be a guide or to help you. Just because you experience that, and just because you feel that, making an assumption that they are doing harm to you, and you aren't able to identify that, to know if it is there a guide or just some other entity that is just around here. And to go back into that, like, identity is very important to me, because if I don't know how I identify myself, other people are going to just identify me and whatever they identify and see based off of their perception of what they see and what is physically presented in front of them. And I know I've noticed the more and more I've become secure in my identity, secure in the vulnerability of it, I've been able to navigate what space in better, because if I see that a space feel kind of I feel like it has too much cis energy of that. Is like, okay, maybe I shouldn't go into this, because maybe this is an environment that I'm going to have misgendered, and it's not because people don't care. It's just in a public space where it's not always the time to even have a gender discussion, where I've literally went to events and I like to educate, and I'll tell people, I'm non-binary and these are my pronouns. This is why. This is why other people might be non-binary. Of conversation, or I've experienced, me essentially having to step outside of myself in order to educate other people, because unfortunately I'm in a space that didn't actually have the space for me to there. So I feel, with my important, because not only I'm here to serve, that have these identities, especially like transness is an energetic signature. Like, you just like, a part of it, I really want to help people like know, especially people that aren't, is that like transness is not just you being in the wrong body, and it's not just you are you in a past life, and I this, you're in a past life, you had opposite gender, so in the next life, this is why. And like I've seen spiritual people trying to, help trans people and give services to them. And I feel, a lot of the identity is that not only do I feel like I understand it through experiencing it and having to learn and heal through it, I also have the capacity to also assist people that have certain, skills, because that's just not their path. That through, the things that I've been literally doing my consciously, came to where I am now. But to end, I just feel, it's everything to everything that I do, because if I go outside, I'm not going to stop being my identity because I'm outside. I'm not going to stop representing myself because I'm not.
Word.
People don't know because of a program, because we program but programmed over generations for us to be like, oh, that person has titties, I'm assume that that's a woman because they have titties. I'm real. I feel, have to, be the face for people to be like, hey, you can't identify what you see just because what you think it is, and maybe sit down and ask or sit down and feel. Because even my first, coming into being non-binary, one of the first people that like asked me, I met them for the first time, and they're just like, oh, I them. And I didn't even come to that yet. I've been questioning this for a year straight, and you literally, me, and you're telling me that, oh yeah, I assume this. And I literally came to this person with a wig on, all pink outfit, stereotypical what people think really high femme, and I don't even identify as femme. I already knew that you can feel and process, what is in front of
Yo.
person looks like this. Sorry to ramble, but I just feel it's really everything to me, because like every time I step out, every time any person steps out, they are always themselves, and they go everywhere with their entire selves. And like a part I feel of my duty is holding space for that to be seen, but also, not just to seen by the world, but to be seen by the people that like need assistance or want assistance, and seeing that for themselves and feeling secure in themselves. Because unfortunately, we live in a world where you still have to protect yourself. You still have to know where you need to go and where you should not go, because objectively you just shouldn't go there. And just certain things that should not be done or should not be activated because of the safety. And sometimes, if we aren't aware, or we don't have the space to be aware because there isn't language, especially for any people, not even just like cis queer people, and it does not include trans people into like what the quote unquote universal truth that someone is speaking out. So I feel it comes out in everything, because if everyone actually feel universal, then doesn't include queerness as universal. That's where I stand.
Yo. So much of what you said resonated with me. I think that the first thing that off the top of my head that I'm thinking of with what you said, of like people are always their full selves, and this person looking at you and being like, oh, I thought your pronouns were they them. Like, I have definitely 100% seen people and talked to people and seen the spirits of either their ancestors that were like, that are them, that are different genders, before they even realized that they were genderqueer. Like, I sat down with people, let's say someone that identifies as a man, and like have seen like the feminine spirit in them before they even understood that they were genderqueer. And this also low-key leads me into my second point that was brought up for me while you were talking, which is that queer people, particularly and specifically though trans people, have in a lot of African, Black, and Indigenous communities had a very specific and sacred spiritual role right? And so, like for example, I organize with this platform called Azabache Arte, which is like this Afro diasporic art platform, with these people based in Colombia. And we've been highlighting like different queer African like topics. And you know, one thing that we learned about was this in this community. I don't remember the name of the community, so forgive me, y'all, for that. But basically, people that were queer were considered something called gatekeepers. And so they were considered the gatekeepers between the spiritual world and the physical world. People that were attracted to multiple genders and that experienced multiple genders were seen as the ones appointed to have that communication between the spiritual world and the physical world. So it's like all super connected, you know. I'm not surprised that
Yeah.
this other trans person, or I'm sorry if I'm assuming that they're trans, but that this other non-binary person was able to look at you and be like, oh, I thought that you were they them, or that I was able to see a feminine spirit in this other person that didn't understand that they were genderqueer, because literally transness and non-binariness a lot of the times is actually a spiritual position that opens us up. And even the way that I came to terms with my non-binariness and using they them pronouns was after I realized that I was Taino and that my ancestors spoke to me, because I got a vision of myself in these energies that were both masculine and feminine. And so for me, that's very ancestral. You know, I got that vision right after my ancestors spoke to me. Um, your video has been cutting out a little bit, but I hope you heard what I said. I think that you're unfrozen now.
I heard everything you said, but maybe the connection's better now. No. Mercury retrograde. You love fucking with me.
Okay, I think you're good now. Yeah, I'm not sure if you had anything you wanted to say or if I should continue on, but
Um, I did, but I lost it.
what'd you say at the end? It just cut off a bit.
Oh, I was saying that I had something to respond, but I forgot it. So we can continue.
Word, cool, cool. And I see some people answer. I see some people typing in questions. After we're done with these questions that I have to ask, there will be space for y'all to type in your own questions. So, we can either come back to those questions or y'all can type them in more formally in the little question box. But for right now, I'm gonna move on. So the next question is, where do you see your artistic practices going in relation to particularly, like, you know, the movement for Black lives, which also maybe you don't see your work going anywhere in relation to the movement for Black lives, but we were interested in just hearing to see whether that politically influences your work at this moment.
You know, and this is a question that I really was like meditating on because, you know, I I have appreciation for the objective purpose of the direct, you know, Black Lives Matter organization and the people that do really like do the work that are a part of it. And, you know, as you probably have also already seen about certain controversial things that have been appearing just within the organization itself, which I feel unfortunately is like kind of normal for things. I feel like, you know, it's hard as shit to get two people to be on the same page 100%. So I know it's hard as shit to get hundreds of people on the same exact page 100%. And, you know, I feel like where I stand is that, you know, is bigger than just one organization because, as you know, someone doesn't have to say Black Lives Matter as a Black person to literally, you know, stand in their Blackness and to, you know, stand up for their Blackness. And, you know, Black Lives Matter isn't an organization that has been around, all of the times that we've had, different, movements and different organizations. Like, even in honor of our roots, to me, is like a movement in itself that is a part of that because of what you offer in your own ways. So I feel where I stand is, I've been very open and receptive to where my ancestors have been telling me to stand. Because, not to mention their name for like privacy, but I had a friend who literally had told me that, one of their ancestors is, an NAACP person, and literally told them to not go out and protest because that's not where they need to be. And I just want to say shout out all the people doing rituals on the front lines, because it's been really beautiful to watch. And, I say to say that I feel like all of us are getting like the messages of what our role is and where that stands and where that's going to lead us. So I feel, to kind of answer the question, though I don't say feel it's directly under the title of that organization, that, I've been being patient and listening and making the steps that I need to like continue like service and offering, especially in these times, because, we are continuously like, this what has happened the past month is not new, and I know it knows that, and I know everyone has been traumatized and some experiences, even prior to just the last 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years plus. And I feel, with that, to give anyone that has been what their role is, just be patient and listen, because if you felt in your body to get up and go protest, you would have did it. And don't beat yourself up if you didn't, because you see other people doing it. Because I kid you not, really been seeing how much people have been really moving and doing what they need to do by the movement of spirit. And, if your job is to not go out, it might be to go out tomorrow. If it's not to go out tomorrow, maybe your goal is to plant something. As I think I saw someone post, artists, artists help know that like the revolution cannot be like, avoided, especially for like the conversation of it. And, if your role is the artist, be the artist, understand the responsibility in whatever role that you have, because, not everyone's role is the same, and not everyone's responsibility is going to be the same.
Ashe, I agree with that so much, because the revolution is not a one-time event. The revolution is happening always, right? And we need, in order to reconstruct a society, we need people in multiple positions. The people that are on the front lines, bless them, thank you to them. But we also need people imagining a different world and putting that shit into action while people are tearing that shit the fuck down.
Literally tearing it down.
Right. The last question. What were you saying? I'm sorry.
Is behind us. I'm gonna flip it right now. He's literally behind us, so he knocked it over.
Aww. Cute. I love cats. Cats really do whatever they want.
Yes.
The last question that I have for you is just, what advice would you offer others attempting to use their work as a spiritual practice?
I feel the first step is to really detach from any ideas or perceptions that you may feel that looks like, because I know for my personal practice, regardless of the ancestries that I have and constantly am connected to, I've always, have kind of allowed my body and allowed, allowed the time for me to do certain things. I feel like this year is the first year out of like a 5-year kind of, transition and remembrance, that I feel I've actually kind of have a way of like a diet that is actually consistent in some type of way, not just with food, but also, with the rituals that I do practice, with the way that I conduct, literally like my altar space, whether it's for, my resources, whether that's for, my relationship and my partnership, or even, just anything aligned, and just, find the things. And I feel my best advice is just to listen and pay attention to what you naturally are called to. And, if you like cloud watching, go watch clouds and learn how to read clouds. And just start by asking the clouds, what's the energy today? And just start seeing what happens when you do that. Or if you're with water, go look at a bowl of water, get a wooden bowl and go put water in it and just stare at it. And put your finger in it and be like, what is my energy right now? And just, practice that, because I know a lot of people, turn to certain mediums of divination tools because, it's something that other people are doing, and it's easier for them to find the system that works for that tool. And I feel sometimes, we can get easily discouraged when it's something that, isn't as spoken about. Because I know we all cloud watch as a kid, but I know a lot of us didn't consciously be like, oh wow, you can go read clouds. And that's a form of divination and a form of, like, connecting with the earth, or even just literally sitting out and picking a pond and just being like, okay, feet, let's get whatever. And I feel, honor your inner child with that as well, because everyone is going to have the things that you like to do. If you like playing with sticks, go outside, pick up some sticks and throw them on the ground and see what happens. And I know, like, I'm laughing because, it's the inner child of it all, but I feel different things that people can do that they don't even realize is them tapping into their ancestry. Because, a lot of us who don't have all of the documents of, like, not all the tribes got, recognized, not all tribes, like, the exact, sub of the titles and the certain, names of these tribes that people do know. Not all of them were actually, written down on paper, and not all of them were recognized in the ways that weren't whitewashed. And I feel, with that, just honor, like, what you naturally are called to, what you naturally feel, and be open to, like, experimenting and trying something out and not knowing what the fuck it means. And, being patient with, like, learning, because, tarot's not for everybody. Not saying a lot of people can't read tarot for themselves and can't get into that medium. Not everybody's job is to understand how to read, a natal chart. Doesn't mean you can't, still seek information through that. And, everyone, I do feel hate of, like, connecting to spirit. And sometimes, with today's world and the media, that a lot of people, don't always have access to that. There's more than just, these, mediums that we love, and we see abundance of people, being called to do, or not being called to do sometimes, but, like, turn, because, some people don't know there's more than just tarot and astrology and numerology, unfortunately, because of these practices not being, preserved, needed to, because of colonialism.
That's a fact. So I use my walls as like an altar, and I write down like downloads and stuff. And something that I have written in my wall from like years ago is God speaks through my desires. So I feel like that really is aligns with what you were saying, of just like literally whatever you enjoy to do. That's probably really it. That was a beautiful response. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to open this up to people in the audience if they would like to ask a question. We have about 10 minutes left of this live before Instagram, sends us home and shit. But as we wait to see if people send questions, which y'all can send in the little question box at the bottom of the live. I'm gonna scroll up to some questions that were asked earlier, where someone said,
I saw someone ask about ancestors. Oh, my bad.
Yeah, you're cutting out a little bit, but I think we were saying the same thing, that someone asked the question of how can we experience our ancestors.
Phone. Sorry, don't mind me talking to my phone. I'm trying to get it to cooperate. But I really go into that question, especially, one of not offerings that, my partner's right here. Say hi, Sage. Say hi, Sage. But with past incarnations, especially with, ancestry, and you also already touched on this, and I just want to say thank you for knowing that, because a lot don't, feel that. But, your past incarnations, more times than not, are also going to be, your ancestors, because, you're not going to have a past life that you're not really connected. Like, you're not, unless your family traveled to the other side of the world, you most likely not going to have a past life on the other side of the world, unless that was somewhere in your lineage in some type of way. But with the ancestries on how to experience it, there's a lot of different ways. For me, because I'm intensely like, very intensely and have very intense physical sensations. And I know for me, I, really enjoy like self hypnosis. Um, if you are someone that knows that your visual cortex is wild and you might not be able to experience it, don't, force yourself. But I know for me, that was really helpful for me, really feeling in my body certain visions, whether it was through dreams or just things I got triggered to because of like hearing something or smelling something. It allowed me to have, a very concentrated like vision, where essentially you would, you can either have a candle on or you can be in a dark room, and you can have a sense of a light. And I personally like a gold light or a white light. And I like to start with that as like a sense of sealing and protection, so that while you're in that vulnerable state, you don't have to worry about or think about, you know, your energy kind of leaking out. Um, and then I will also do kind of like, a black energy, but black energy in a sense of just like protection around your body. Because as we know, ancestry and past incarnations is intensely, you will literally, as you already know as well, and people probably also feel like you literally will experience things very intricately that are connected to your past incarnation without even realizing it, because it's so, small, quote unquote, in our life. But you can do that. And when you do the meditation, just focus on, a pathway that you're walking down. And it could be in a room, it could be in nature, it can be whatever, path that you resonate with. And just follow that path into a doorway. And as you get to the doorway, allow yourself to just fall into it, and don't try to force the image, don't try to force, something to see. If all you see is light at first, allow yourself to just fall into that light. If all you see is, a sense of blackness or emptiness, just fall into the emptiness and allow, the visuals to come. And, you can either, ask for a certain past incarnation or an ancestry that you're consciously aware of, or you can just ask your body to take you where you need to go and where you need to, find yourself to, what discover now in that moment. Um, Other than that, not to just talk about myself, we also got, a messages from ancestors reading, if anyone is open to that. And we also have past incarnation readings. But that's when you're ready. And I emphasize when anybody is ready, because I don't like to serve anyone when they're not ready for things yet. And sometimes, you gotta prepare yourself in whatever way that means. But if anyone likes a meditation, we can talk more about it, beyond this. But that's something that has personally helped me outside of the readings that we've also conducted on ourselves. But yeah.
Word. Thank you for sharing that. Super beautiful. Y'all definitely consider getting a reading with Anu. We have 2 more questions. I'm gonna read them both out loud, and maybe you can choose one, because I don't think we have time to answer both. So the first question is, how can we justify our faith in a God separate from Christianity? And the second question is, how do you stay motivated to practice your practice? So you can choose which one you would like to answer.
These great ass questions. Just pick one, because I love both of them.
I feel like you should. What was it? It was like, how do you stay motivated in your practice?
And how do you stay motivated?
Yeah.
How to stay motivated? I feel it's not even staying motivated. I feel I've gotten to a point where, I've been forced to honor that every day I can't get up and do everything I need to do, or physically, materially, whether that is, having a stretching practice. And I'm not saying yoga because, you know, you don't have to do yoga to stretch, but having a stretching practice hour a day, or getting up and making sure that I don't know, doing something, jumping jacks. And, you know, just to be vulnerable, like I'm someone who experiences scoliosis, and I also have a deviated septum. So a lot of times, like, I literally can't like get up and move, and have to, like, you know, honor rest and find, you know, that practice and rest. So I feel how I stay motivated is, you know, not beating myself up when I have to literally lay in bed for the entire, and maybe even work from bed, or maybe even, and have to tell myself it's okay if you do nothing. You know, even with this interview, I had to reschedule this like twice for like multiple reasons, and I feel even that was faded, and not feeling like I have to do something, and literally, you know, making it not be like serving for myself, to where, you know, just because you want to do something doesn't when you're done doing it, you know. There's a lot of things people do that they want to do and don't make them feel good, you know. These donuts, and it made their stomach hurt, and I was just like, you shouldn't eat them then, and make your stomach hurt. I just feel, you know, how I stay motivated is just not like that continuous, is not beating myself like, hey, don't beat yourself up today.
You also have somebody.
I also got someone that cook when I can't cook. That's the other life hack.
I
you
make
know,
really good meals. I make medicine. I take care of you.
Shout out to Independence and our partners holding us down. That's that real shit. Let them know. Let them know.
Community, because you need community. I feel like, you know, community as well. You gotta have somebody you can hit up, be like, hey, life beating me the fuck up. Can we go, Meyer? Because I need to go take this energy out. Like, I feel, you know, it's community, but, you know, on a person, I just have to not beat myself up. But that's pretty much it.
Kept Jupiter in the 6th house. Work. Be really hard on themselves. Work every single
day for all my goals, or I'm not getting there.
Oh my gosh, that sounded like Rise and Grind Twitter. But I did want to say that I wanted to give a quick shout out to someone else who has performed in an Honor of Our Roots, called Giovanni LaBeija from the House of LaBeija, New York, Voguer. They said something on Twitter once that really inspired me, which is that also everybody has a different relationship to spirituality, and that not, you know, some people need spirituality for spiritual maintenance. Some people need a more dedicated practice, but also finding what your unique relationship to spirituality is and how much you need it, because it's not the same thing for everyone. Not everybody's gonna be a healer out here, you know. Sometimes, for me personally, my practices, like, right.
I'm sorry for yelling. Oh, the tapestry fell. No, because like we were bad that we said that we were this, because that's technically not their title. So I just want to say thank you for just knowing that, you know, not everyone can give healing. Just not everyone is. But sorry,
right.
I love truth.
Instagram is telling me that there's like a minute left, so I just wanted to reiterate that y'all should give Anu your monies, and just give this last space for you to share any projects or social media links you want to quickly like shout out before the live is over.
Okay. It is Anu Omni for everything. ANUOMNI. Partner, you know, a community work that we're doing together and in the forum. And I got some musical project working on, you know, no times yet. I'm not gonna do no titles, I'm not gonna jinx nothing. But, you know, if there's anything, anything, you know, to look for, you know, not just our work, our services, but, you know, we have a lot of things that we want to offer, you know, in a more, you know, controlled space that we can share our craft, share our art, share our words, our channels, and, you know, just all the things that we have to give. But yeah.
Ashe,
And
yo.
my socials again,
Um,
ANUOM.
yeah. Follow Anu. Thank you so much for being here, for saying yes to this interview. It will be saved on the In Honor of Our Roots page, and I hope you have a good